Huge round of applause. Make her very, very welcome. It's Dina Amin.
So much. Thank you. Oh, wow. It looks so big. Hi, everyone. I think there should be audio. Oh, yeah. Okay. I made all the sounds and noises myself, so. So my name is Dina Amin, and I'm here to tell you finally that Josh knows grammar. Okay, I really, really hate writing my name with a capital D. So it's not his fault, it's purely mine. And I know it's been bothering some of you. I've had questions, but I have a very kind of valid reason for it. So when I write my name with a capital D, I start seeing things in my name. And I usually do this. I start seeing things coming to life, and it doesn't end well. So I just never write my name in a capital D. I hate it. I just keep seeing things. And I've noticed that I used to do this unconsciously. And then I noticed that I actually do this all the time whenever I see anything. And in 2016, I started this side project where I only did this. And in that project, I combined my love for product design. I studied product design and my found love for stop motion and my views on consumers. And in that project, I kind of showed people what's inside of their things in new ways. It's hard to explain, but this is kind of how it looks. And I hope today that if I would do one thing is to show you things in different ways. It'll help you see things differently or see things in ways you've never seen before. So let's see. So this is remember this? It was like a mobile pouch belt thing where I'm sure some of you have seen it before. It still exists, like it's not really gone away. There's no away, so it's thrown away somewhere, completely obsolete. And this is what's inside of it. Oh, why doesn't it play here? Yeah. So have you seen a mobile pouch transform into a character before? I've reached my goal. I'm happy. So I've been doing this project since 2016. I've done it for a whole year and a half, and I really had no idea what stop motion is. I studied product design, industrial design in Malaysia. I did not even own a camera. I wasn't intending to have a stop motion studio in Egypt at all. It wasn't in the plans. I would literally just tape my phone to the table. All I knew is the basic idea of what stop motion was, is that you take thousands of photos and in each one you move something a bit, and at the end you would have something that magically moves. And what I wanted to do is just to get all the ideas and all the things and all the faces I see in my head and just watch them kind of in real life. So how did I start this? How did I start this tinkering? Because it sounds like a really weird project to start. Like I'm gonna take products apart and transform them into characters that do something. It didn't just like happen out of nowhere. It just kind of slightly developed. So I did study industrial design in Malaysia, and I really loved industrial design to the point that I left my country. I'm from Cairo, Egypt, and it's not very common for a woman to travel to study abroad, but I really wanted to. Like I was that passionate about it, and I went to study in Malaysia. And then when I came back to Egypt, I realized that I hate a really big part of product design and industrial design where most of the things that we design actually end up being thrown away, especially in a country like Egypt, where things are usually in lower grade because they're cheaper and it fits a really big market need. So when you see the reality of it, it's a bit disappointing. So this is a market in Egypt. It's called the Friday market, and it's kind of like not really a flea market, because literally all of the stuff that are sold there, this is just the entrance, and this is a moving train, and it's really okay in Egypt. And literally all the things that are sold there are picked by the sellers from garbage bins, and they are resold to be repurposed, or people buy them for really cheap price to fix them, reuse them, use all the pieces inside, or maybe sell them later for any specific like for any reason. So I used to go there, and you can find all sorts of things there: toys, electronics, what else? Furniture, signage, toilets, whatever people throw away, you'll find it there. And I used to collect it. And it made me think about all this. Do I really want to be a product designer? But anyways, I wasn't, because when I went back to Egypt, like this was like 10 years ago. So there weren't a lot of, there weren't product design jobs in Egypt. So after graduating and going back, I just worked whatever I found available in Egypt. So, and I was happy about it. I thought I was just exploring till one day I found this one thing that I really, really want to do, like the one thing that I'm meant to be doing. And when I did not find product design jobs, I worked as a graphic designer, of course. And then when graphic design, led to social media management, led to like working in a lot of startups and doing just anything. And I was happy. I was just learning and exploring. I love making anything, like learning anything new. But then it was like 5 years have passed, and I was completely miserable. I was like, what am I doing? I don't know what I like. I was completely lost. I don't know what I love anymore. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know if should I just continue like this in Egypt, just accepting whatever was an opportunity to me. Until one day, and I remember this day very, very clearly, I decided to stop this, and I decided that I needed to do something. And I took a very conscious decision, because I was thinking, what if I just keep going like this and just accepting whatever is available in Egypt till I like explore, and maybe one day I stumble upon this one thing, and maybe not, because there's a lot of things that are not available in Egypt. So maybe I'm not going to find it because it's not there. And that was actually a positive thought, because I thought maybe I'm not going to find it because I am meant to start it, because it's not there yet. So with that thought in mind, I sat down and I started thinking, okay, let's find this one thing. I'm meant to like find it. So let's sit down. I took a pen and a paper and decided to write things down, because this is how I think. I'm just gonna put like a criteria and try to think of it like, what should this one thing be? And since I'm a product designer, I thought this thing should solve a problem. So maybe I can start from a problem, or should be something also that pays the bills, something that can be like a good career, something that I can explain to my parents so that anyone can understand, something that I would love doing, something that, lots of things. And after writing all of this, it was super, super hard to decide, because I felt that the more I wrote, the harder it became. It wasn't actually helping. So I decided to not think about any of this and just pick one thing out of this list and just focus on this. And once I did this, it became so easy, because I decided the most important thing to me in this list of criteria of what I should be doing was that I want to be doing something that just brings me so much joy, because I've been miserable for a really long time doing all these random jobs, and I just want to be doing something that I love. And I was thinking, what is the thing that if I would do just this thing my whole life and I wouldn't do any other thing, I would never get bored. And till this day, I have no idea how I convinced myself, but it made complete sense. But it just clicked that once I asked this question, that I love taking things apart, just this. And I thought, if I would spend my whole life, I would just spend my life taking things apart and putting them back together. And it happened because I had this memory, like I see it so clearly. On that day, I was sitting in my old bedroom. We were moving houses, and the only, like my empty bedroom now, there was only one box that wasn't allowed in the new clean house, was a box filled of junk that I've collected and bought from the Friday market. And I looked at it and I was like, it makes sense. Now I finally have the time to, like, if I had the time, now I finally have the time to tinker with all the things inside this box and, I don't know, take things apart. Of course, I doubted that. I was like, sounds so stupid. Like, how would this turn into a career, or how would I even explain things doing this to my parents? But I decided that I'm not going to think about any of this. I'm just going to focus on doing something that I love. And I decided that I'm going to commit to this. So I'm going to pick a product. I was still working part-time. So the weekend in Egypt is Friday, Saturday. So I decided to pick one product from that box every Friday, take it apart, document it somehow. So I used Instagram because I really had no friends there. It was like early Instagram days. So I wasn't like totally embarrassing myself. So I would just take the product. I had a yellow piece of paper. I took a photo of one. I would take it apart and I would just do basic research on it, like what's inside, how it was broken, how it comes together, how it's manufactured, like purely product design stuff. Like in the back of my head, I felt that maybe I would redesign one of these products one day, but I still felt like I'm just gonna go with the flow. I'm not really gonna think, I'm not gonna plan, I'm not gonna like imagine how this will lead to anything. I wasn't actually thinking that it would lead to all of this, but I thought I'm just gonna go with it and see. And I gave it time. So I thought I would, like, maybe 6 months. Let's see where this leads. And I would do this consistently every Friday until like week 4. I was taking apart this shaver and I was absolutely amazed by how it all came together. It really felt like it's a big puzzle to me. So I knew this thing called stop motion, and I didn't want to just put a still photo of it, but I wanted to show how everything came together. So I took my phone out, and I didn't even know that there was a stop motion app. I used the slideshow app, and I took like 500 photos and made this video, and I thought, oh my God, this is so magical. It's so good. I want to do this. This is so fun. And when I put it on Instagram, back then, Instagram only allowed 15 seconds. And I made like a 1-minute video because I took like 500 photos and then I couldn't upload it. So I went on Google and I wrote like something like how to make stop motion video faster, something like that. And then I learned about frame rate because it said like stop motion, they're animating on 2s and 1s, and 2s means that if you want to animate on 12 frames, meaning that you need 12 photos to just make up 1 second and each photo is doubled. So if I want to move my arm from here to here in 1 second, I need 12 photos and each one I repeat twice. I was like, interesting. There's a lot about stop motion that I didn't know. I just thought that you just move things. And I was super interested to continue because it takes very little to amuse me. Just knowing what frame rate was like, oh, wow, new. Like the other day, I learned about kippers. And I was like, wow, there's a fish dish that's called kippers. Interesting. Yeah. takes very, very little to amuse me. So I continued doing this, and obviously needed to like call this project into something. And I was posting it on Instagram bit by bit, just posting the videos and writing something in the caption, and a small group of people started following me, and they were interested to, like, they were actually waiting for it. I don't know how, but they were waiting to see what I would pick every Friday and how I'm going to animate it and what's gonna come out of it. So I asked them, I'm really bad at naming things, so I asked them, what would I name this project? And someone said, Tinker Projects. And I learned the word tinkering. And then someone else said Explosive Fridays, because I do it on Fridays and I kind of make things explode. But I didn't want to have my name next to Explosive Fridays. Like, I would never get a visa again. It's already hard enough. So imagine Googling Dina Amin, Exclusive Fridays. Never gonna travel. So I thought I would mix both, and I called it Tinker Friday. And this gave me like this. I didn't want to quit, so I wanted like the Friday in it so that I would be committed to it. And I was. I did it for a year and a half, every single Friday. And it started, I think the sound is also not. Yeah. Okay. And it started very basic. I really didn't know what I was getting myself into. And like at first, I would started seeing faces in all of the pieces. Of course, if I see it in my name, of course, I'm going to see it here. And then it was like all flat. And then it started becoming more like 3D-ish. I started to learn more tricks in stop motion and create more different characters. And then this was later on. I would start adding sound effects. I learned more about the laws of light and how to make my lighting better, how to like principles of animation. I had no idea about any of this thing. Absolutely clueless. There would be like a more elaborate story. And for that week, and every week, I would want to learn something new in stop motion. So in that week, I saw this video about how Disney used a multi-plane glass machine where they would animate things on separate layers. Like they use this for cartoons like Snow White, and they would put the camera above, and then this would add depth in field, depth of field. But I didn't have like all this glass multi-plane machine. I just had like a piece of glass in the living table. I took it, I put it on some wooden sticks. I use a lot of Pringles cans. I have like, this is like the most important tool in my studio. And at that point, I wanted to be like more serious about it. So I borrowed my friend camera for a whole year and I started just animating. I didn't realize at that point, I still did not call myself an animator. I was just having too much fun. But I was like, maybe one day I'll redesign one of these products, not knowing that I was totally going in a whole other direction. And this was the last thing, the last object that I took apart in that series. And it's also one of the first objects I remember taking apart. So I have this memory of me trying to pull out the eyes of my dolls because I wanted to know how the doll closed its eyes when I put it down. And I also see my mom running, yelling. It's like, this is not how you play with dolls. And I never got to know, but now I know. So I did take it apart and find out. And this is what's inside my doll head. Yeah. So little did I know that this actually became my career. And I now take things apart for a living. So this is one of the videos. I made this in 2020, and it was actually for a client. It was a company called iFixit. They're kind of like the Wikipedia of how to fix your things. And they asked me to create any videos. So it's like they are known for their teardowns, to explain to people what's inside the things that they throw away. And I made this guessing game for them on Instagram, because I realized that a lot of people, they follow my videos and they always comment saying that we actually don't know what's inside the things we use on a daily basis. We never imagined that it had so many things inside. And yeah, and to show you, this is it. So I took apart 4 objects and animated them. And I was thinking that the more I do this, the more I realize maybe that's why we actually throw away things, because we consider them as one object and not many, many, many. And it goes into a loop. Yeah, and this project actually got really big. So I did a limited edition AR print of it. I did 50 ones, and they're actually sold all over the world. I never imagined that this would happen. And I've also won Vimeo Best of the Year in 2020 for it. I never imagined that like 7 years later, I would have my own stop motion studio in Egypt, winning awards and making the exact thing that I love to do and getting commissioned for it. And many people actually liking it, liking what I do. But this one, not really teens and children. I showed it to them. I teach workshops, and I was teaching this workshop in Armenia for teens and teaching them the same process, like taking things apart, and showed them this video, and they were not impressed at all. I was like, why are you not? I was so like upset. Like I asked them, why are you not? Don't you like this? And they're like, we don't even understand what this is, because they don't know what a Walkman is. I'm like, oh my God, I'm so old. This is actually my Walkman. I used to share it with my brother. Yeah. So it's now I'm so happy to say that like I've gone past like to see where I started, because when I started I had no idea what anything about stop motion was, and I would actually do all of my videos from a toilet. So I would literally just put a table in front of the toilet in a toilet seat and just do all my setup there, because it's really easy to control small. I had these really cheap lights, and it was very easy to control them in a smaller space. So I would just do whatever I can to just get the shot I want. I would borrow my friends' equipment, and this was client work. But don't tell them, they would never watch this. So, so anyways, yeah. So I just yeah would use whatever is around me and just make it happen. Like sometimes I look at my even old laptop now and I don't understand how it works. Like it wasn't even working now. How did it handle all of these photos? But somehow I made it work, and now I have my professional stop motion studio in Egypt. And along this process, like I show you very like the summary of the last 7 years, and it feels wow, it happened, and you can like reach your goal. I didn't even know what my goal was, so I was completely lost. But it wasn't that easy. I had a lot of like doubts and a lot of things that stopped me along the way. One of them was my title. So, like, after 6 months of doing this, I started getting some commissions. It was very, very small commissions. And then I accepted doing stop motions for companies. And I would say yes, because I was very, very broke and I needed like to pay the bills and like be an actual human who can like go out and do all these things. But inside of me, I still thought that I'm not really an animator because I do not know anything about animation. I'm just doing it for fun. I did not study it. I don't know any of the other stuff that people do. I would never be like as good as all these other animators I see online. And to really make it, like, I cannot just be doing this what I do, just taking things apart. I would really need to learn how to draw, how to do 2D animation, 3D animation, and all of these cool things that are happening, because the stop motion world is like really, really tiny, and there isn't even like animation jobs in Egypt, so I wouldn't even get stop motion. And so I wasn't really considering myself as an animator, but I also wasn't really a product designer because I was breaking things and not really designing them. So whenever I would go to any event, it would be like, oh my God, so bad, so bad. Because like, I'm sure everyone here, the first question you ask is, what do you do? And I hated this question because I had no idea how to answer it. I could not say I'm a product designer. I did not say that I'm an animator. And I could not even tell them, like, at one point I thought maybe instead of like saying what I do, I'd say what I love. And I love trash and collecting trash. But, but this raised like more questions than answers. So I was like, okay, I'm just not gonna go to any of these events. So I really isolated myself and I just made more videos, and maybe it wasn't the best thing until I realized I actually got invited to speak at the very first conference, and I have no idea how this happened, but it happened. And I realized that why am I when I saw all these other artists and how they do their work, I was like, why am I so fixating on being one thing? I can just be whatever I want. So if I want to be an animator for a while, this is fine. And if I maybe end up doing product design in a while, this is fine too. I'm not really, because I felt like I failed in product design and that I had so much passion for it, and I traveled and I left my country and all of this. But this doesn't mean that it's the end. And once I realized this, and once I gave myself that space to just allow myself to be anything, I actually started seeing that my background in product design didn't actually just end, but it's kind of that I mixed both together. And when I realized this, my work completely changed, became so different. Starting with that, I started making things. So I'm not just a stop motion animator, but I'm a maker as well. And this is one of the things I really, really wanted to make for no like urgent reason, but I really wanted to make a small version of this. Because we don't have these actually in Egypt. We have this big, like humongous balls, like bears. I don't know, but they are more like balls, and they always put like 8 of them in a row. So it's very shocking to see, but I really love this one. It's so much fun. And I made it out of trash, and I put it up on MakeZine. I sent it to MakeZine, and they put it in their newsletter. And someone in Germany saw it. It was Mark. He runs a conference called Beyond Tellerrand, and he's the one who invited me to my first conference ever. And I'm so grateful for that. Like, all these events was my way to meet other creatives, meet other artists, and see the potential of what I can actually do with the things I do now. Because I did not have this, and I still don't have this community in Egypt of artists who are doing unusual things. Like, artists paint, artists, or like animators animates things very specifically. But if you want to do a little wavy dancing guy, there's no way to like make it as an artist doing that in Egypt. But I got to see all these other artists and see, okay, maybe I can do that, maybe I can do this. And I started doing that and getting like more like whatever I want to do, I make. So this was actually for a company called Engineering, and they do these kits where they would allow artists to make their work more interactive. So I decided to turn one of my animations into an actual machine. It's called the Hi machine, the Hi. Yeah. So I made this in the COVID years where you'd say hi to it and it'd say open and spell the word hi. That was a fun project to make. Even my stop motion work completely changed once I realized that I have my own way of seeing things because of my product design background. And this is one commission. This one I made for Vice, obviously. And it's funny, sometimes they sent me and they explained my work to me in ways that I did not know. So they told me, Dina, you're so good at making things that are so like you have this thing where you turn very unorganized things into pure order. I was like, yeah, I do this. Oh, interesting. Okay. Now I know what to do for you. I'm going to do this. And at the beginning, it was very hard to, like, obviously now I'm so happy that I'm getting clients who really want me to do whatever I want, because no one would want this, like, they're just like, do whatever you want. So I'm very happy that I've reached this point. But to reach that point, I kind of had a plan in mind, and it worked out. So I decided, like, throughout the last 6 years, I decided that I'm going to do a lot, because obviously I need, like, to work, I need experience in stop motion, I need to build like just people know that there's Dina in Egypt, in Cairo, who does stop motion. There's one person there that does this. And I would just work and decide that, like, okay, 90% of my work is just gonna be work that pays the bills, that I gain experience from, but 10% of it is gonna be work that is Dina, that is really my ideas, the work that I want more of. And year by year, I'm gonna try to shift the scale. So it's gonna be like 80-20, and then what is more? Yeah, 80-20, and then 70-30, and then 50-50, and then like all this. It took less than that. So now I can say that 100% of the work I do is all work that is me, my ideas, that I really enjoy, and that is me. Yeah, something like this. But it took time. And the trick is to do it and not feel bad about it, but I never shared it online. So I've done so many things that people don't know that I did. And I wouldn't share, it's not bad, but I wouldn't share it because I didn't want more of that. I wanted work that was the 10% that was growing. So the trick is to just share what you want more of, because what you put out there is what you get. This is an example of a personal work that I would do and put up there. So this was done for a challenge created by another creator online. His name is Kevin Perry. He's an animator and a video creator. And in 2020, he did this challenge where he would animate or like make videos around an emoji every single month. And every month would be a different one. And for February, it was a book. And this is what I made.
Once upon a time, in a land far, far away.
So I wanted to animate a talking book, but I didn't want to make it like the typical way that everyone would, like maybe animators would make, where they would make just tape mouth shapes on the book and make it talk. I decided that if I'm going to only be animating objects and this is the only thing I want to do, then I want to animate objects in a way that no one would ever do them before. And to me, when I see a book as the product designer in me, I don't see a book, but I see all the pieces of it separately. And I kind of see it reversing back on the production line. So to me, when I look at this, I see pieces of leather, I see papers, I see threads, glue, ink, some words. I see, like, I take it down to all the components. So I was thinking, and then it's a lot easier to think that way for more ideas, because you can do few things with a book. You can stack them, you can flip through it, you can write in it, you can maybe tear a paper. But when you have all these different components and parts, you can do a lot more because you have a lot more to play with. And I thought, okay, let's start with paper. You can fold paper, you can tear it, you can fold it as origami and make a mouse shape. But I have so many papers inside a book. And then I Googled book folding, something like this, and I discovered a world called book folding, actually. And this is the making of it. So I think there's here, yeah. So I went to the Azbekiyya market, it's a used book market in Cairo, and I figured out the equation of how I find like my really good ideas is when I mix few things of what I love. So I love stop motion, I love craft, I love product design, and I love trash. So I went there, I found a couple of used books. It was actually a really bad translation of the Da Vinci Code in Arabic. It was all printed illegally, translated. And it was printed upside down, and the guy there gave me all the misprints. And I learned how to design the pattern. I folded it up, and I made 14 different mouse shapes. And each book took like 4 hours just to mark and 4 hours to fold. So I invited my friends and my sister and my family to do this with me, and they never helped me again. But some of them, not all of them, but some of them had fun. And this is how I made it. These are some of the like close-ups of what it looks like, and some of the different experiments I did. And to me, it's very fun to me, trash and objects are kind of my paint. As like painters paint with paint, I use objects to paint the ideas in my head. This is another commission, and I made this for an insurance company actually in US. They're called Lemonade, and they commissioned artists to create anything that had a pink line in the middle. So I thought, what can be pink and be a line? And I thought of balloons, and I thought, I never really saw someone animate balloons before. How can I animate balloons? And I kind of thought of, okay, how are balloon dogs made? If they were made in a factory, again, because I'm a product designer, I was. So I thought, okay, maybe I can magically do this. And it keeps going on, like this way of thinking.
There's an element of fun. You find the fun. And the job's a game.
A job is a job.
So that was my very early attempts in character animation, because again, I didn't want to just be animating things as they were done. I wasn't interested in that. I wanted to animate objects only. This is like the only thing I want to animate, objects and trash. And I thought if I want to do characters, then maybe I can turn one of my like trash objects into a character. And I did this not consistent at all series called Glue Life. And my videos are kind of, how when you are upset of something and you write it down on a paper and then you tear it up and now it's gone out of your head. I kind of do this with my videos. I'd be like thinking of something and then I make an animation about it and now it's out in the world and it's like, okay, now I can move on. But it takes me like 3 months to get it out of my head. So in the previous one, I was thinking, like I had the struggle of, oh my God, I need to do all this work. Should I be like having fun doing this work, or should it just like a job be a job? And this is the second one. It's a sad little loop. Sad. This is obviously me. So I made this in 2019, and I named this when I tried to put my life together, because it felt like every time I now figured how things work, it all just fell apart. And then it was like really a really bad year. And then 2020 happened. And I realized I rushed to judgment. It was like 2019 was really good. Yeah, and so in that video, I was just learning how to make a loop. So I just continued to make my own personal content and just to, therapeutically, like it was like therapy to me to get like some things I think of out of my head, and also like to learn more about stop motion, really like get my skills to a level that like is better and better until I did get put this out in the world, and I did get clients that want exactly that. So this is the third one in the not so series that I'm making. So this one was actually commissioned by Adult Swim. They sent me and they're like, Dina, would you like to make an ID for us? And I was like, yes, I have an idea. And from the first call, I told them, I see this little sticky tape character that is struggling so much and like ripping his hair off, like part of him to make his art. And it makes up the logo. And they're like, perfect, do it. So I did it. And it was like the first complicated kind of character that I do, because before I was just doing like object animation, and then I realized making a character with like hands and eyes and legs and a tape moving, I have no idea how a tape character actually behaves. So I did a study of it, a very serious study, and it really helped. It wasn't easy to do that. So I was thinking, how can I be a tape? Because I really need to understand how it would move. So at first, I had this exercise ball, and I would sit on it, and I tried, but I fell immediately. It was a disaster of an idea. So I thought, okay, this will not work. I need to find something that would allow me to move like that. So I thought of these kids, I don't know, swings in playgrounds where they have this big spring and it has a horse on it. I don't know what is it called. And I went to so many playgrounds around Cairo and I did not find it. I was like, what do kids play with these days? I have no idea. And then I was just on my Instagram, and one of my friends had this video of her niece playing on this. I was like, can I come over? It's a really, really important project. I swear, it's for a really big client and I need to borrow your yellow horse. She's like, okay, fine, come. And then luckily her niece wasn't there, but she actually walked in while I was doing this. She came as a surprise and she was shocked. She just stood there. She was like, she did not say a word. She was just looking at me, and I was on the horse. But she was actually interested. Like she was just, oh, I never saw someone do this on the horse before. And then she came with me and she tried to like play along, and she actually was very interested. Yeah. So I didn't know, like 7 years ago, if you would ask me like that I would be doing all these things, that I would be a stop motion animator because I decided to take things apart because I liked it, I would have said never. Absolutely no. Like I have no idea what stop motion is, what animation is. I'm not even interested in photography or anything, so I would say no. And even like the first few things that I made, like I made them and I knew that I'm a designer, so I knew that they didn't really look that good, but it was just so much fun, and I decided to not stop myself and be like, this is really bad, I will never get a job. Like, how would I even compete like in Egypt or out there or anything? And I'm so glad that I did not listen to this voice, and I just continued with whatever I was doing and having so much fun with it, because it led me to where I am now. And I have really no idea what's going to happen next or what I will be doing. Maybe I would be doing stop motion, maybe not. Maybe I'll learn how to code. I don't know. I did not understand anything today. but but maybe, who knows? Who knows? I'm open to everything, and I decided that I'm not really going to put like goals and plans for myself, because my plans really suck when I think about it. But I'm rather going to just do the work and enjoy it and just wait and see how this will develop and unfold. That's all. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope you've enjoyed watching all this. Thank you.